Japanorama.
Japanorama. Super likey. Konnichiwa and welcome to Japanorama. Now, I adore most everything about Japan, from its super smart head down to its wiggly little toes. But if I had to choose my third or fourth most favourite thing, in fact, it might even be my second favourite thing about this place, there would have to be this country's unflagging devotion to the bold imagery, super bright colours and the all-round simple pleasures, or sim pleasures, as I like to say, of pop art. Or to put a proper frame around it, J-art! Which means
Japanese pop art!
So if you like modern art, or even if you think you don't, settle back and get ready to enjoy half an hour of sweet, sweet eye candy. Ikimashou. The Japanese are known for their ability to absorb outside ideas, improve them, and then flog them back to where they came from for half the price. Whether it's cars, appliances, or video, they are the masters of the technological world. So it was only a matter of time before Japan moved into the contemporary art world. And for a country obsessed with consumerism, it's no surprise that its art should be fixated on consumption. And now today's Japanese artists are consuming their own pop culture and throwing it back up on the walls of art galleries around the world. And we, the world, can't get enough of it. It's J-art, Japanese pop art. Tonight, Japanorama investigates how and why J-art has become so blooming ginormous. Japanese pop art has several acknowledged masters, but there's one in particular whose brilliance is recognised not only in the international art community, but in the world of fashion and beyond. Takashi Murakami is a thoroughly modern artist. Even beyond his work, which is fantastic, he engages the public like no artist since Andy Warhol in the 1960s. And Murakami has his own hair. The current surge of interest in Japanese pop art really kicked off with a young artist named Takashi Murakami. Bored with the stagnant world of traditional Japanese art, he looked to contemporary culture for inspiration, and he found it in the otaku or uber-nerd passions of anime and manga. He has created subversive characters with names like Mr. Dob, a mad manic mouse, and Kai Kakai, two cute animal figures with an abundance of eyes. He dubbed this new style super flat, referring to the way it flattens tradition, modernity, and even other media into a new oneness. I met him at his studio outside Tokyo, where he showed me his latest rendition of Mr. Dob. Wow, this is incredible. Can I ask you, I hope this doesn't seem crude, how much would a painting like this fetch?
1.3 million.
Wow. It's very kind of you to give it to me. What makes Murakami a true pop artist and a hugely successful one is his spin on Andy Warhol's idea of turning consumer products into art. Murakami turns his own art into consumer products. His mountain of merchandise includes Murakami toys, Murakami sweets, badges, flowers, Monopoly, calendars, cuddly toys. When is something you make, when is it just a toy? Or when is it a piece of art that can be used as a toy? Is there a difference?
Japanese people really love in art, but, you know, Japanese people, same time, cannot buy the art piece. That's why I'm making for the merchandise. Something like that, $200, $300 is okay.
He also collaborated with fashion icon Louis Vuitton on this bag, which sold for $5,000 and became one of the most copied handbags ever. He even went full circle and made an animated art film for Louis Vuitton that was perhaps the ultimate blending of art and commerce. By creating characters based on anime and manga and giving them a darker twist, Murakami is making powerful statements about post-war Japan.
It is a cultural, problem because we lose a war, so looks like our culture doesn't have the ball, impotence.
So
that's why
you were castrated by the war. Some might say the Japanese invented cute, giving us the likes of Hello Kitty as a reaction against the brutal image the war had given the country.
That's why probably after war, the people can create a very reasonable way to the entertainment. The manga is super reasonable.
Yeah. It seems to be that people are looking more to Japan, to the East for inspiration, and that you are more influential now. Is that fair, do you think? Is that true at the moment?
Maybe, wave for that. Now is a Japanese something.
The Japanese wave?
I think so.
But Murakami doesn't look only to manga and anime for inspiration. Some of it comes from good old Mother Nature. It's interesting because you can see these shapes in his work, just like the great Victorian artists were inspired by nature as well. Look at that, that could be something, and you put that through a computer and bung some colours on there. That's it. Although if you're a man and you check your prostate on a regular basis, you can avoid having that happen to you. Murakami-san, thank you so much for your time today. It was a pleasure. Thank you
very much.
And continued success with your work. I think it is fabulous.
Thank you.
Arigatou gozaimashita. To find out how much of an effect Murakami's super flat movement has had on modern Japanese art, I went to this exhibition, held every year to help up-and-coming artists get their work seen.
I think he's made a huge achievement. Japanese pop art has a tremendous amount of power. Otaku is no longer a specifically Japanese thing.
The characters I created are images of healing. They are round and fat with bulging bellies. The first time I saw Murakami's work, I was very impressed with the way he combined his art with manga.
I really love manga since I was a kid, and when I started working as a graphic designer, we were also creating characters. It was then that I first got interested in characters as a method of expression.
So Murakami's super flat movement has inspired a wealth of young artists, soon to be unleashed on an unsuspecting art world. But Japanese art wouldn't be as colourful without its performance art, which was first seen in the West when Yoko Ono dared people to cut all her clothes off. Performance is still as popular as Pokemon in Japan. So I raced back to my brand new Tokyo house to meet the lady who promised to sweep me off my feet. Of course, art can come in many forms. Most of us think initially of the great two-dimensional works of the Renaissance masters or the sculptors of the same period. But more recently, I think we've all broadened our horizons somewhat, and with the advent of Brit art and so forth in the UK, we've come to accept that even acts of behaviour and well, let me introduce you to someone first. This is Toast Girl. Toast Girl comes from a generation of kooky, crazy female performance artists who every now and again turn domestic household objects on their heads in some kind of revolutionary postmodern Marxist statement on household chores or something. Tell me about the idea behind the toast hat. I have brought some bread along. Fresh. Okay. Okay, is it on? Okay.
I think so.
Here we go. 2 slices?
Hi. Yes.
Okay, here we go.
Toast tells me.
I'm pushing down. Are you ready?
Yes. Cooking.
What gave you the idea for this? When did you first do this?
This was my, I don't know, therapy, sort of.
Okay.
Yes. I had to do it.
Do you find when you wear the toast hat
Yes.
that people, even if they didn't fancy some toast beforehand, now want to put bread in and enjoy the toast?
I hope so.
Well, I felt the urge. you eat your own toast?
I read toast, you know.
You read
I
toast?
read.
Like a fortune teller?
Yes.
Can you read my toast? Hey, you want a bite?
ありがとう。ありがとう。
Toast go. Butter boy. He's adored like a rock star. His phone number and address are a well-kept secret. He's shown his work at major galleries in America and Europe. Over 300,000 people attended his last exhibition in the first few weeks alone.
I'm Yoshitomo Nara. This is my studio. Welcome.
Nara's work, like Murakami's, deals with cute, childlike figures with dark and mischievous twists. Although Nara was also brought up on manga and anime, his work comes from a much more personal place.
I often get asked if I've been influenced by manga. I haven't been influenced by manga directly. My work is inspired by reminiscence of my youth. It reflects more of my teenage years rather than childhood experiences. This combination, memories of the past, plus the input of the contemporary, such as music, merges inside me and comes out in these drawings.
Whether they are evil-thinking children brandishing daggers or playful puppies, Nara's sparkling originality has made him one of the world's hottest artists.
I do paintings because I can't express myself well in words. I try now and then, but after I speak about it, I always regret the following day that it was wrongly put.
Conveniently reinforcing our theme, Nara has made his art available as affordable consumer items, like ashtrays and toys. He's now become so popular in the West that collectors give more than just an arm and a leg to have one of his works.
These years were given to me by Leonard Nimoy. When I had an exhibition in America, he came by and wanted a sculpture of mine, but it was sold already. He said if I would make it again, he would give me the years in return. Only then did I realize that the guy was Spock.
Beam me up, Scotty-san.
Japanorama.
Artists like Murakami and Nara have created a pure pop art by merchandising themselves in the form of, well, anything that will sell. Now even toy manufacturing is shifting from spin-offs of anime and games to an art form in itself. I scurried back to my Tokyo bolt hole to fondle my latest art acquisitions, my new toys. The phrase urban vinyl is a perhaps overly cool way of describing really cool action figures or toys created by artists in limited editions. The first big wave of urban vinyl, or UV, came in the 1990s out of Hong Kong, or HK. But then the Japanese muscled in with predictably delightful results. The Japanese have been providing toys to the world since the post-war baby boom. It used to be that when you saw a Made in Japan sign on the bottom, you knew what you were buying. Cheap crap. A generation later, there's a new Japanese toy in town, and it's got the 3 C's: coolness, collectability, and quality. They're original designs, straight from the magical minds of independent designers, kids that grew up with punk and splatter films. So, of course, we met up with the players that are turning toys into art. This is Hikaru of the massive Bounty Hunter. He was one of the first independents to turn ideas into toys.
To me, toys are like vitamins. If I didn't have toys, punk rock and rice, I wouldn't be able to survive.
And this is Hidi from Secret Base. Hidi specialises in creating nasty, repulsive characters.
I think it's because it's fantasy. These creatures don't actually exist. If I saw this fellow standing at the traffic light, I wouldn't be making it. You wish they existed, but they don't.
The most popular urban toy is this. It's called the Bear Brick, and it's made a fortune for indie toy manufacturer Medicom, which has already sold over 20 million Bear Bricks around the world.
I think the reason I got into toys was because toys were my best friend. Sometimes I make them sit down like this, or go, hello!
Let's fight!
What these two grown men are doing in private may look innocent enough. But to an urban vinyl collector, it's the equivalent of drawing a moustache on the Mona Lisa. Many collectors believe the packaging of the toy is part of the art, like the frame round a painting.
I don't really tear the boxes open and play with them. I collect it as a complete unit. I like to keep them in pristine condition.
An urban vinyl toy in mint condition, still in the box, is a valuable commodity. Collectors from all over Japan come to toy fairs like this to get their hands on a treasured piece of vinyl.
I come to buy a figure by my favorite toy manufacturer's secret base. I've been here since 4:30 this morning.
I like Bounty Hunter. I have a Bounty Hunter t-shirt.
Until about 5 years ago, if you were a collector of toys like this, you were regarded as a bit weird, if not a pervert.
With all these vinyl junkies needing a fix, there are plenty of new young pop artists ready to supply the increasing demand for vinyl.
That over there was the first character I designed, a cloud character. So next I wanted to design other things that fly. It's a komori, it's a Batman.
The question is, at what point does a toy become a piece of art?
In the art world, only pieces such as oil paintings and drawings were considered works of art. And then the Andy Warhol silk screens came into the art world. Many people think of our toys as the three-dimensional versions of those silk screens.
Whether a toy is art or not is really up to the person who owns it.
Tip from the top. Start buying urban vinyl if you want to own the next Murakami. As you may know, the really fanatical toy collectors don't like to take the toys out of the boxes because, of course, it kind of diminishes the value, and they like the purity of the object as it was when it first appeared. And if you have someone like that in your life, I have the perfect gift suggestion for them. One of these. Looks pretty good, huh? OK, and you want to know what's really special about it? What's inside. You know what's inside? Nothing. Nothing's inside. It's just the box. You're buying the box, nothing inside to display. Although, if the box comes in a box, you don't want to take the box out of the box, so then you'd have to get the box one. And then if someone made the box in the box one as a collectible, that would come in a box. And so if toys and empty cardboard boxes are now state-of-the-art for Japanese art, is there still a place for traditional art forms? I hit the streets in search of an answer. As Japan modernises and westernises at such a phenomenal pace with its radio-controlled channel changers, bicycle production and the motor car, it's easy to see how the Japanese have let their traditional art slide into oblivion. And the ancient art of origami is no exception.
In the West, it could be a party trick. To the Japanese, it's a delicate, deft link with the long past.
But one man has revived it and sent it rocketing into the future. Say goodbye to the lotus flower, say hello to the paper robot. Tomohiro Yasui began crafting paper robots at age 11 so as not to risk damaging his beloved robot toy collection. 15 years and several hundred paper robots later, Tomohiro's childish hobby has become big business. There's paper robot wrestling, paper robot DVDs and other merchandise marching off the shelves. His paper robots have truly become a new art form, with people building them from kit and collecting them, sometimes even playing with them. I was lucky enough to wrestle Tomohiro into my Tokyo digs to show me his bots. Yasui-san, hajimemashite, dozo yoroshiku. Tell me about the kami robots here. Why did you make them?
Originally, I really liked TV animation series about robots like Gundam. At that time in Japan, there was a boom in professional wrestling. My vision fused the image of masked wrestlers and the image of Gundam.
I like the way they move. They move better than plastic robots. They kind of move more like people, don't they?
I wanted to recreate the real movements of professional wrestlers. I thought there was no way a person could rotate its shoulders 360 degrees, so I worked on the structure of the joints to make them as close to that of a human as possible.
Do you want a battle now?
I can't right now because there are lots of people around, and it's my private world. I've done it with spectators before, but I had my back to the spectators, and the battle was filmed and shown on monitors for them. If I'm watched directly from in front of me, I can't enter the imaginary world.
Do you like to ever put on a wrestling mask yourself?
Not so much that I like to wear them, but I do really like wrestling masks.
I have some wrestling masks. Maybe we should get together one night, just hang out wearing wrestling masks. Pop art fever is spreading across Japan, even into the world of light entertainment. You may remember last series I met the superb televisual comedian Mr. Hard-Do-Gay-Man. We enjoyed a delightful picnic cavorting amidst a blizzard of blossoms. Well, it turns out he's quite the artist as well. We met him at the Murakami exhibition doing a live painting.
To me, the essence of hard gay is about masturbation.
So I invited him round to show me his art and his arse. Tell me about your new career as an artist. How did it begin?
I had an opportunity to work with Takashi Murakami, and he suggested that I exhibit my work at an event he was organizing. So I created this piece.
What is the idea behind this piece?
This is, what can I say? It's myself. It's like I'm recycling. It vacuums up all the bad things through here.
It is quite hypnotic. It is drawing me in. I think if you stared at this for long enough, you might work out the meaning of life. Oh! With the help of Hard Gay, I began to gently penetrate the pop art world, but I wanted to go deeper. So I went in search of a man who might well be regarded as the very soul of pop art. Psychedelic artist Keiichi Tanami made a long pilgrimage to America back in the flower-powered 1960s. He hung out in New York with Andy Warhol at the factory and then dropped in on the San Francisco scene. And ever since, well, judging by this mind-blowing work, it looks like he's been on one long trip without ever coming back. And now this unreconstructed hippie is considered a significant inspiration to the current generation of young Japanese artists. Over the past 40 years, Keiichi Tanami has produced thousands of paintings and posters depicting the crazy, colourful characters that inhabit his intensely visual dreams and imagination. And now, the outside world has collided with Tanami's inner world in this major retrospective in Kyoto.
These works are a complex mixture of my dreams and my memories. My grandfather really loved goldfish and used to own them as pets. When you squeeze goldfish that are about to die, they die, right? I used to love doing it when I was little. I always used to get scolded for doing it, but I have these memories inside. That's why I use this theme a lot. Squeeze them, yeah? It's very cruel, you know.
Tanami's experiences weren't just limited to squashing goldfish. In 1968, he went to America to do the same to his brain. He started in New York at Andy Warhol's factory.
I first went to New York in 1968. At that time, pop art was coming to the forefront with Andy Warhol. There was a lot of experimental cinema coming out, which Andy was also involved with. I went to the factory. At that time, he was producing silkscreen art, and I got to see that.
Continuing his search for artistic stimulation, Tanami hit the West Coast, where he mixed with the grooviest groovesters of the psychedelic movement.
Back then, my favorite music was acid music. I was really into it. One band that was really big then was Jefferson Airplane. I designed this record cover for them.
Tanami's experiments in America weren't just limited to art and crazy dancing. He also partook of the era's mind-bending signature drug, LSD.
When I went to America in '68, these drugs were still legal over there, so I did try them.
And the influences of the psychedelic movement have stayed with him ever since. Back in Kyoto in 2006, Tanami is about to do a live draw-in, where he sketches over an animated art film that's projected onto 3 walls, representing the inside of his head. It might not be for everyone, but the kids seem to dig it.
I love Mr. Tanami's work, but during that live painting, it was like being inside the drawings myself.
We're all influenced by Tanami and his work. He's in our DNA.
So what does this first-generation pop artist have to say about the new breed?
Before, around 99% of Japanese people are really influenced by American or European art. But the generation of artists since Murakami has not been influenced by America. I think it's great, really exciting.
Well, if all the great new art we've seen tonight were laid end to end, then dipped in a mixture of raw egg, breadcrumbs, fresh garden herbs and baked in the oven at gas mark 4 for about half an hour, what a delicious desecration that would be. But what have we learned? Ancient Japanese knock-knock joke for you. Knock-knock. Who's there? Pop art. Pop art who? Pop art and buy some noodles, will you, love? Oh, yes, someone aside. Good night.
Animated comedy action next on BBC 3 in American Dad.